What's going on? What's going on? Welcome to another episode of Smoove Conversations. I am your host and DJ D Smoove, and I got a special guest with me today. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Ronda Davis.
Yay. Woohoo!
How you doing today?
I'm so good. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. I appreciate
nervous,
you being
but
here.
I'm stoked to be here.
You got nothing nervous to be about. It's going to be awesome.
It is, yeah.
Thanks for making the time aside. You literally like what? Right around the corner?
Yeah, literally. Took me 3 minutes to get here.
Did you walk?
Yeah, in the heat.
In the heat. Great idea.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's awesome. I appreciate you taking the time again to come inside.
Yeah.
You are a busy, very busy woman, so
Yeah.
I appreciate you again. And I'm super excited for you to be here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks for having me. I was so honored that you asked. So I'm
Yes.
stoked to be here.
Yes. The energy that you always bring into the room is fun. It's always like happy. So
Yeah.
I'm feeling happy vibes
Yeah.
already.
Good.
I hope you are too.
Yeah. I'm stoked. Good energy.
Awesome.
Good vibes.
Well, for those that don't know what you do out there, you mind explaining who Ronda Davis is and what she specializes in?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Who Ronda Davis is. So I am the owner creator of Healing Feathers. We're a group mental health office that's just here in Millcreek. I'm passionate about mental health. I've always wanted to be a therapist. I just believe in people. I believe that people can change. I have worked with so many people where they just really doubt themselves and have such negative beliefs about themselves. And so I just wanted to be a voice. I wanted to be someone that stood up for those people and encourage others to share their story, ones, in mental health that we don't talk about. So I've owned the group practice for about 6 years. It's a very, very different, unique practice, and I just absolutely love it. It's my passion, it's my joy, and I'm just very proud of myself for what I've created.
That's awesome. I love that. Thanks for sharing that, by the way.
Yeah.
So super cool. I'm just curious to know, like, what would make people jump into the path of their passions? Like, what led you to that, wanting to join? Start your passion, if that makes sense there.
Yeah. This is I'm going to try to simplify it because it's kind of a complicated answer.
Okay.
So one part, it's kind of a two-part answer. The first part is I've always wanted to be a therapist. I knew that from a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up my birth was very dramatic. And so I grew up with a mom in prison. My dad was an addict, and my family kind of fell apart.
Wow.
The day of my birth, 30 minutes apart from each other, my uncle Ron, that's why I don't have an H in my name, but my uncle actually passed away in a car accident. So my birth and my family just kind of fell apart. And my family, at least that I don't know, none of them ever got mental health or treatment and therapy. So my childhood was pretty chaotic. I had a really good, stable family, but I also, I grew up in the 90s. I was born in the 90s. And so having a single father with an only child was really, really difficult. And I grew up with the stereotypes. People would come up to me and be like, hey, how are you? Who's going to talk to you about boys? Or who's going to take you bra shopping? And for me, I had such a solid family and force that I was like, my dad.
Yeah.
And people, I realized the older that I got was this wasn't normal. And there was stereotypes, right? That somehow I wasn't going to end up being okay. So once I learned that and I got into college, I had such a passion for other kids. There was such a stereotype that if you don't grow up in a normal white picket fence 2-parent household home, you were going to be a mess or you weren't going to be successful. So originally my passion developed because I wanted to be little kids' other voice. I wanted to show them that you can come from a dysfunctional family, or you can come from, a mom who was in prison and be okay.
Right.
So that's one side. And then I went to school. I knew what I was going to do. I'd always want to own my group practice. And then I came back from getting my master's, and my dad had passed away. And that was kind of the original creative mindset behind Healing Feathers. So about a year after he passed, I had a really difficult time with my own mental health. And it was really, I feel like it was an ego death.
Okay.
It was so hard for me because I'm like, this is what I've always wanted to do. But at the same time, I was so stuck in my grief that I was ready to just throw it all away. I was dead set on moving to Mexico and just forgetting everyone.
Wow.
And so it wasn't really until I had this really powerful spiritual moment where my dad almost came down and smacked me in the face and was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it was on pretty much his year anniversary that I was like, you either go and do your dream or you're going to throw your life away.
Wow.
And because of everything I had fought for and advocated for, I knew that I couldn't be that person that just ended up like her mom. And so I pulled the trigger. I didn't really have a plan. I literally put it together in 3 months. I think I thought I was going to fail. And here we are 6 years later.
Oh, so my goodness.
There's a lot in there, but
wow.
that's the short, long version to
What
everything.
a story. That's amazing. Thank you. We might just end the show right there.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Very,
Yeah.
very vulnerable, by the way, too. Yeah, that's wow.
Thanks. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm my story's public. I mean, I posted it on my website a little bit. My big belief is like if I'm expecting you to come to me and share your life story and your vulnerabilities, like I need to be the same. So that doesn't obviously mean in session that I overindulge or anything that way, but if I can't be vulnerable, if I can't advocate for the vulnerabilities, if I can't be that voice, then what am I doing?
Right.
And there's a lot of stigmas in mental health, and therapy's hard. Like finding a therapist, admitting that you have struggles, admitting that things are not going well is hard. People don't want to talk about it. And so for me, I want to be that voice that I'm like, if I can do it, you can do it. If I can change, you can change. So I guess it's one of those things of like, I don't want to be a hypocrite. So I just put my best foot forward and I try to be the best version of myself for other people.
I love that. I love that so much. I mean, you got me thinking over here because obviously, and we're going to get into it. There's males out there, just speaking of the males, the gender that we don't like to open up, typically. So it's really cool that, you have some experiences that it's not like you just went to school and got your degree and you open up your practice. No, you have some life scenarios behind it to where you felt inspired. You felt like this calling basically to say, hey, like there's many more people out here just like myself and maybe had many more struggles than I have even had, but I'm here to help them. And I think that's powerful. Yeah. I do.
Yeah. And I think, I'm a big believer in the sense of we just don't talk about it enough. And what we do talk about is kind of the negative aspects, right? Or the survivor stories. Like we only want to talk like, yes, I went to therapy and I graduated. But, especially with men, like you don't go to have a barbecue with your best guys and you're like, bro, this week was shitty. Like I had a really rough time with my wife and my feelings are hurt. And so I really think that like the more we talk about it, the more we normalize it, it's not going to be as hard for other people, but there's still that stigma. And I really think a lot of people still have kind of an olden day mentality of what therapy looks like. And, I can speak, obviously I'm very biased. My office is very different. Like you walk in the doors and it looks like it's your living room. It doesn't look like it's a doctor's office. You don't have an old person with a clipboard, like taking notes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so,
and I'm a witness, so I can agree with you 100%. Yes.
We want it to be comfortable. I mean, people ask me all the time, like, what do people like? Do they lay on the couch? And I have so many clients that come in, literally take their shoes off and lay down, and they're like, "Oh, well, let me tell you about this week."
Yep.
So it's very different, and it honestly, like, it can be helpful if you just try and open up. But a lot of people, there's stigmas, there's fears, and obviously too, finding the right therapist for you is really hard. There's not always great therapists that you're gonna jive with.
That's true. So what would you say to the person that maybe had an experience with one therapist, they didn't get the result they were looking for, they actually felt like they went more into a shell, and then trying to come back out and find the right person that fits who they're looking for? Like I'm sure every client isn't your client, but how do you separate yourself from the others?
Yeah, so I think finding a therapist, a lot of people just don't know where to look, right? And so I can say, like, for my office, a lot of our clients come from word of mouth referrals. And so if you don't have that, it's really hard to find a therapist.
Right.
The one thing I think people forget is, like, it's not our session. Yes, we're the experts, but, like, it's really not our session. We are here for you. So just like people when they go to the doctors, like, we need to be there for you. And so what is it that you want? You should come with questions of, what are you looking for? Or quizzing me of, like, how do you handle this? Or are you comfortable working with this? I tell people all the time, you're welcome to do consults or in that initial intake. Yes, it is about you, but I tell clients all the time, come with your own questions. And if I'm not a good fit, I'm going to tell you, because if we don't build that rapport, it is going to be pointless for you to sit there. And then you are going to be discouraged to never try it again. So I also tell people, think of therapists as doctors. Like, yes, you can go to a general practitioner, but if you fell and broke your leg, you're not going to go to an optometrist. Like, they're not going to be able to help you, but just because they went and had some of the same medical degree, there's specialties. And just like therapists, like, we have, we can be generalized or we can be specialized. And so if you don't know what type of care you're wanting or needing and you're not an advocate, like, you probably are going to feel disappointed. So that's one, to answer your first part. Second part is, we're really unique, and I am very proud to say that. I put a lot of intention with my office. We're really holistic, and so our office actually is a trauma specialty office. And what that means is, from a client perspective, if you're listening, it doesn't mean you have to have a level of trauma to be seen with us. What that means is, from the staff, from the clinicians, we help you heal by trauma interventions. So examples of that can be like EMDR, IFS or parts work, inner child healing. We focus on core interventions, trying to help you heal from the inside out rather than just traditional talk therapy.
Okay.
A lot of people don't know traditional talk therapy is very different than trauma reprocessing. Traditional talk therapy is where you come in and you tell me your story, and it's going to be that scripted story that you've had for the last 20 years.
Okay.
Trauma processing is like, here's your story. Great. How were you impacted? Where do you feel it in your body? It's really getting you into your body for you to almost like integrate and have this experiential experience with it, for you to really understand emotionally what that event did to you, rather than just telling me about it.
Right.
So we're very different. We also do, we're a very different office in the sense that we have a handful of services. So we do traditional, trauma-informed therapy, but some of our sessions, like, you'll come in and we focus on grounding. So we do breath work, we do visualizations, we do a lot of somatic healing, so getting you into your body. We do retreats and workshops. I host a monthly grief circle because that's obviously, with my story public, that a lot of people come to me and they want to work with me. Grief is near and dear. So we do monthly events. We do sound baths. We also do ketamine-assisted psychedelic therapy. So we give you options so that it's not just standard talk therapy, and you're really able to come in and holistically heal body, mind, and spirit. That
makes sense. Wow, what an what an experience! I feel like
I
feel like I just went through the first class. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool. And it helped me out there. So, like, for myself, you brought it up earlier, the 2-parent household thing. A lot of people feel like they can judge your life based on what their life looked like versus what yours looked like. What do you say to the people out there that maybe are going through the indifferences of receiving criticism from others, and like how to overcome that and just love themselves?
Yeah. Biggest thing I think I lecture often is everyone has their own individual story. Your story is different than mine, and we are going to have similarities, but we also have vast differences. Everyone's story matters. And the thing about trauma or people's experiences that I talk about is, it doesn't matter. Like, you and I can be in the same car accident and we're going to interpret it differently. It doesn't mean that one versus the other is wrong. It's our experiences, right? And a lot of people don't realize, like, I hate the word normal. I have so many people that come in and they're like, I just want to be normal. What is normal to you?
True.
Right? Like, I grew up in a single parent household with a dad and a mom who was an addict. You could have grown up 2-parent household, stable, religious, happy. And I'm not going to realize that my life is different until you show me that new life.
Right.
And so I think the biggest thing is just remembering, like, it doesn't matter where you come from or what your story is. What matters is that you have, honestly, like, the vulnerability and the confidence to know that it is your story, and your story deserves to be heard.
Makes sense.
And it doesn't matter if it looks different to me or you or a coworker or another family member. Like, it's your perspective, it's your story, and it matters to be told.
I agree with that. You're right about that. Real quick, I want to transition just very quickly. You brought a gift here.
Yeah.
Tell us about it. Can I look at it?
Of course. Yes, you can show it to the camera.
Awesome.
So Julie Janke, Millcreek City Lifestyle owner, she's just an incredible, phenomenal human being. And she called me, actually, it was like in March, and she had said, hey, do you want to be part of the women's issue in May? And I was all on board. Yeah, absolutely. And she called me back like 2 weeks later, and she goes, I think you need to be on the front cover. And I was like, whoa, okay. And for me, I had a hard time with it because, it's kind of imposter syndrome. Like, I don't belong on a magazine. Like, I don't have anything to say. There's other important people that are doing phenomenal more things. And then when it got published, like, it's been so cool because I've gotten people that just send pictures, like clients, friends, old people from high school that are like, you were on a magazine.
Yeah.
And it's just, it actually has been really validating because, like, as much as I lecture that your voice matters, like, it's inspiring me that, like, my voice matters.
For sure.
So Julie asked me to be part of it. She wrote, I think a 4-page.
Ooh, shout out Julie.
Yeah,
Let's go. Let's go, Julie.
But she just wanted to tell my story of kind of what we've talked about, of like who I am and where I come from and why we're different.
This is awesome.
So, yeah.
This is awesome. And you deserve to be on
Thank
print.
you. Yeah.
You deserve it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Shout out to Julie in that she believed in me, because I don't, I wouldn't have volunteered for it myself. So
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
Thank you for sharing that with me there. And the audience, of course.
Yeah.
So I want to ask there, obviously you said 6 years now you've had your practice, and a lot of your business comes from word of mouth. Now, to sustain a business for 6 years through word of mouth and, referrals and things like that must mean you have a really strong, like, belief in quality.
Yeah.
And that you obviously care about what you're doing.
Yeah.
How do you do that? Like, how do you make sure your business is sustainable for 6 years through word of mouth, referrals, and trust, basically, like that? I mean, I'll probably just answered it for you.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a lot of hard work, and really what it comes down to is I haven't lost my fire or my passion. I don't really have like that clear vision of what Healing Feathers is going to become, but I know in my gut, my soul, my spirit that it is going to be badass regardless. And so I honestly was lucky. The first job that I had got when I moved back to Utah, my boss was very old school. And so she had lectured me of, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And so she actually, as much as she hated PR, she pushed me out the door and was like, you go to doctor's offices, you drop your cards off. So that's how I grew. Like the 4 years that I was there, I would show up at doctor's offices, I would drop my cards off, I would introduce myself. And, when I started, I was 25. Like, I was young. And 25-year-olds nowadays, like, you can't even talk on the phone.
Right.
So for me, it was that passion of like, I just want you to know my name. And if you ever need anything, please call me. So that's how it started. And, I think develop relationships, building a community is really important to me. And I just maintain that. So like, I send thank you cards, I drop gift boxes off. If you send me a referral, like, I send you a thank you card handwritten. And so, yeah, I think that it's just my passion, my fire. I know, it's my business. Obviously I'm biased, but I know what a cool office we are. And I know that I am very different than other business owners. I work really hard compared to other people. And I think that I just want other people to know that and experience it and know that there's resources and there's places like ours out there to really genuinely help and really that genuinely care. I think sometimes clients also have that misperception that like, I'm paying you, you have to listen to me. And I'm like, girl, you have no idea. Yeah. I go home and I like cry when I get off work or I think of you on a Saturday. And that's not every therapist, but that's like the incredible team that I have. That's all of us. That's my energy. And it's the expectations for my staff. I do have those higher expectations that they give to the community. They get out there and work hard too. And, clearly it's made a difference in people's lives and obviously with the business.
Right. I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. I'm a new customer. I'm hearing this. I'm in the audience right now. I gotta go maybe to Ronda's retreat.
Yeah.
Okay. It's summertime, so I'm thinking about the warmth. I'm thinking about the heat. Maybe I want to be outside. I'm interested in your retreat there. So walk me through what Ronda's retreat looked like and what am I looking to gain out of the experience?
Yeah. First, what that comes to mind is intention. Every retreat that I do, even my mini, the monthly grief circle, I'm very intentional and I try to be intentional of bringing in just a theme and then not, kind of structuring it to what each of you want. So, obviously I focus on patterns. So like everyone has a lot of the similar negative beliefs. A lot of people do similar grieving patterns. And so what I do is I bring that in and give you an experience, right? It's not really one of those retreats where we focus on self-care, but some of them where it's like, come get a massage and come put your feet up. Yeah. It's come as you are. Okay. Come be comfortable. Come be honest. Come get to know your authentic self. Come build the courage and the confidence to be that authentic self and walk away just knowing that you can change. And that you transform. And that's, I would say, intention and transform are kind of like the motto, the mission of anything that we do. So yeah, that's kind of, every retreat looks different, but a lot of it is just, experiential treatments, internalization of your story and getting to know you as a person and taking away all the chatter from everything else.
That makes sense. What was Ronda like as a child?
Oh, I was crazy. No, I wasn't really. As much as like I had a rough childhood, I was very, very blessed to have people that stepped in when I was, born and at a very young age to give me stability.
Okay.
So for example, like my aunt stepped in without question. I have 3 cousins who are like my sisters. And then my dad, he lived a rough life. If you ever saw him, he definitely he had dreadlocks. He lived a life, but he showed up. Like when they got pregnant and he got custody of me, he showed up. And so I was very lucky that I had a chaotic but very safe and stable childhood. I had a dad who always fed me. I could always go home to. But I also was really fun. Like I was that kid that was always in the neighborhood wanting to play. My dad, I actually never went camping until I was an adult.
Okay.
And when I asked my dad, like, why have we never gone camping? He literally looked at me and he was like, do you know you? Like, you don't like to be dirty. And I was like, but I feel like as a dad, you should have forced me. But my dad honored, he just recognized, this little princess is not going to go play in the mud. Not yet. But I did. I grew up very stable and safe. I had a really good family that just protected me. And I did kind of all the tomboy things. Like, as much as I didn't like to play in dirt, I did karate. I played lacrosse. I didn't really I think being raised by a dad, Barbies weren't my thing, things like that. And so I just had fun. Life was an adventure for me.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
I like that. Did you grow up in Utah?
Yeah, in Sugar House.
Sugar House area.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've been here your whole life then?
Yeah, other when I moved away for school for a couple years. But yeah, I grew up in Sugar House. The neighborhood we lived on was kind of like a half circle, and there was 27 kids of us that were all literally a year apart. So we, back, it wasn't that long ago, but back in the day, we would just be outside for hours, and there was always a kid to play with. And, and it just, we played kick the can. We did all the little things that kids sadly don't do now. But I had such a good childhood. And I think, having a dad, this is going back to gender stereotypes, but having a dad who honored having a girl was such a cool experience. I think, my family or some of probably even his friends didn't see the side that I got to know. My dad, there's pictures of me that I was putting barrettes in his hair or painting his nails. And he just, he was like, I'm not going to tell you no. So I my dad was my best friend. So he was a big part of my life. He raised the values in me and protected me from so much and encouraged me really to be who I am. My dad didn't really fix things. I fall and scrape my knee, and he wasn't the dad that would baby me. He would be like, cool, go get a Band-Aid.
Right.
Get back out there.
I like that.
And so I think that that's part of it is I go through hard times, and that strive and that dedication, I have his voice usually in the back of my head that's yeah, you can cry about this, but get your ass up tomorrow and go.
Yes, I like that. I like that.
So, but
appreciate you.
I had a good childhood. I was really happy.
That's cool. I feel like every child should be, but unfortunately that's not the case.
Yeah.
I'm glad you did, though.
Thanks.
Of course.
Yeah, me too.
Did you play any? So I know you play sports. You said lacrosse. Did you do play any music, or was it mainly just sports focused?
I didn't really get the artistic gene.
Okay.
Artistic music. So yeah, and my dad he never pushed it or anything. So I was that kid. Like I said, played sports, did karate, hung out with the guys. I was just the tomboy.
Right. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Let me ask, becoming a business owner in the state of Utah.
Yeah.
Was it 25?
I opened technically when I was 28.
28.
Yeah, when I opened my practice.
Whew. That's brave.
Yeah.
What gave you the courage?
My dad dying. Yeah, it was really when I lost him that I'm it wasn't necessarily for him, but I think there was a part of my grief that I was I have to do this to make him proud.
Yeah.
But also if I don't fulfill my life dream and I just throw it away, I know I would disappoint him and myself.
Understood.
So.
Okay. What kind of practice would you give someone at home? Is there therapy sessions that we can do with ourselves while we're at home? Maybe we're trying to get ourselves ready to come see Ronda. What would you recommend?
The biggest thing that comes to mind is stop telling yourself the story from the logical perspective. Stop trying to solve it. So when things come up, when you're trying to understand your depression, your anxiety, your triggers, understand the situation you're in and blaming yourself, stop telling yourself the solution. Be emotional about it and recognize what is that from a different level. And the ways that people do that, right, is there's journaling, there's insights. The biggest rule of thumb that I tell any of my clients is when you start therapy, your forbidden word is I guess there's 2 of them. Your 2 forbidden words are you no longer get to ask the question why, and you no longer get to say, I don't know. Because the second you say, I don't know, your brain, your body, your system shuts down and it has no curiosity for you. You can say like, I don't have the answer, but I'm
Okay.
interested in finding, or I've never really thought about that, but let me reflect on it.
Right.
But if you just answer, I don't know, your brain and body are like, meh, okay.
Like, it's a default. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't really care to know anyway.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't want to. Next subject, you
Yeah.
know. Okay.
Yeah, and answering the question why, I tell people all the time of, you can come to me and like I can be like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? And you can say, oh, I had a fight with my wife. Like, I'm really sad. She was really mean. And I'll be like, cool. Do you feel better? And people are like, well, no, why? I'm like, well, I gave you your why, your wife,
Yeah.
and you had a fight.
Mhm.
And I think when that example, people are like, oh yeah. Right. And so it doesn't matter why. What happens is how you're feeling about it. So asking questions like, how am I impacted? How does this feel? Where does it feel in my body? Are going to give you such deeper insights than just, well, I had a fight and that's why. Because you don't feel better. You're going to stew on it all day long.
Yeah. That's a good point. I would say, like, I feel like a lot of people, after like a battle or something with their wife or with their spouse or girlfriend, boyfriend, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It seems like they don't really give themselves the time to really think about, like, what was my part in the situation.
Totally.
Like, okay, yes, we had an argument, and then of course naturally you just want to blame another person.
Yeah.
But like, I think it's very important that we, I've been married 6 years now, so I'm still learning. I'm still a rookie. But I think it's important, from at least what I've been learning, is just like, hold on a minute now, I ain't perfect.
Yeah.
There's only been one perfect person on the earth that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
So therefore, like, okay, let me rephrase back. What did I do wrong? Or maybe I said something, maybe I did something that the other person didn't like, or, but what did I do? I like thinking things through to see what part I played in. I feel like a lot of people don't really take that time aside.
Yeah.
And therefore it lingers, and then you always hear, don't go to bed
Mad.
upset with your spouse there. Yeah, because it hurts. You don't want to do. You don't want to do that. So yeah.
I tell people all the time, like, if you're fighting with your spouse, it's rarely just about the dishes, right? If you have a fight about the dishes, it's because there's other stuff building.
Yeah.
Right? Or it can be like even just different perspectives. A lot of people don't realize in relationships, we define things differently, right? So as you, like, how do you define love compared to your wife or me, right? Like, if I can give you a different definition. So I tell people all the time, like, you doing dishes can be your definition of love. So you can be stoked to go home and be like, babe, I did this for you. And she's gonna be like, I don't care. I want you to sit with me on the couch and watch a movie, but you don't care. All you do is do dishes all day.
Yes.
Right? And notice, it's not about the dishes. It's about the unmet need that we're not talking about. We're not self-reflecting on.
The quality time, like, you're getting that.
So I think when you set back, it's important of like, what's my place, but also what is your missing need, right? Why did I say certain things? Where does that come from? And I think if we do more of that, your conversations, when you problem solve or you talk about it after, it's so much more beneficial than just, yeah, babe, I'm sorry, I love you too. Right. And then 2 weeks later, you're going to be back at the same fight. I
see.
So, I mean, I think that's one thing is that, like, yes, on the surface, it's about the dishes, but really what's under the surface that needs to be addressed that we're just not, again, talking about.
What books do you recommend?
Oh, boy. Honestly, like, my therapy guide that I use a lot is Bessel van der Kolk's The Body Keeps the Score.
Okay.
I think it's a long book, and a lot of people, I've never met someone who can sit down and honestly read it front to back cover.
It's like Harry Potter thick, or?
Kind of. Okay. But it's also intense, right? It talks a lot about case studies. It talks a lot how trauma works, how our body holds it, how our brain, how our brain works. And, most people that I know have read it, even clients or friends, they get, halfway through, they get third way through, and they're like, I had to stop reading it. It was too triggering for me. And I'm like, yes, this applies. Like, you just have to learn that it's not about things that happen to us. It's about how we're storing it in our body. No, mindfulness is so much more about like an internal experience and understanding like where you're at in this present moment and what you're needing. So that's like honestly one of my favorite books. It's heavy, I guess, if you're not, if you're wanting to start out and learn more about yourself. I don't know. That's always my favorite. That's like my go-to recommend. The other one, it's more grief related, but I think you can relate it to a lot of other issues. Is it's okay to not be okay. Okay. And it just kind of normalizes, like, you don't have to wake up every morning and say that you're fine, even if you don't know, right? We have moments where it's like, hey, you seem off today. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Even giving an answer to a friend that's like, you know what, I'm feeling off today. I'm feeling weird. I'm not really sure, but can I circle back later to you and talk to you more? Yeah. I think gives like just again, right, that better insight rather than just that dismissive avoidance. It's like, I'm good, don't talk to me.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I guess, all right, I'm going to use myself as an example
Yeah.
for the audience. Okay. This isn't a real story. No, I was kidding.
Like, let's get in.
This is good. I'm learning, so this is great. So appreciate you
Yeah.
having all the answers because you're the expert in this field.
Yeah.
You're the expert. So for myself, this is what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of when you're obviously, let's say, going through life. Some things happen. You face adversity. People, some people shut down. They shut down. They don't know what to do to bounce back. And maybe this ties into what you was talking about earlier, how like some kids maybe got picked on or stuff like that as they were growing up because they didn't have the lifestyle that their friends had or whatever. But like I'm thinking of it more so like an emotional aspect. Like internally there was something that happened. I faced some trauma from it. Now when I start going to the classes with yourself there, is this going to be ongoing? Like is it a 10-week program? Like how do you look at it when you're thinking of as a new customer that needs some time to recover?
Yeah. That's what's hard. We get asked that question a lot.
Okay.
I can tell you with Healing Feathers, with my office, with my staff, our goal is to get you through your trauma, teach you skills to go live your life. So I can't tell you how many clients that I've had. One of my favorite stories is one that she had been with me, 2 or 3 years, and it was her last session. And she came in and she was sobbing and she goes, do people really heal? Like I get to go out and be a happy person. And she was just sobbing. And I literally looked at her and I said, yes, this is what therapy is for. So I think that for a lot of people, the time frame is hard to answer because, again, it depends on your story, right? If you have a history of abuse, neglect, abandonment, terrible relationships, that's going to take a little bit longer to break apart and help you work through. Granted, if you have acute trauma, you just got in a car accident, you just went through a divorce, it's going to potentially be less time. So I think it's hard. I can tell you, like at our practice, I can speak for myself. Like I don't want you to have a life sentence of therapy. I want you to come for the time that you need, gain the skills, and be done. Like I love, all of my clients. I love what I do, but I don't want to see you for years, and if I do, like, I think sometimes too, sadly there's therapists that they like the consistency and they see the paycheck, and so they're like, oh, Deshaun's gonna come in forever if I just keep him my schedule, and so they don't really give you the tools or the ways that you can handle your life. And so that's, I think, a big thing that we do is that we teach you those skills so that you're able to live life, and if you build those habits, it works. I mean, I tell people, like, we're similar to like a personal trainer. You're gonna come into me once a week. I'm gonna show you these exercises. We're gonna get into it. I'm going to kick your butt in this workout, make you sweat.
Right.
And then I expect you to follow through on some things. And if you're not following through, if you're not making that, eating daily habit routine, you're not going to see the results, or you're not going to see them as quickly. So some of it is accountability, and the other part of it is vulnerability. We've gotten clients, like, it's hard, I get it, but also the longer the blocks are there, the things that you're not being honest with or holding you back, like, the longer it's going to take.
Yep.
So I would say don't let that be a deterrent. Like if you wanted to come to therapy, don't let the time frame, because, it takes a lot to know your story 1 hour a week.
Yeah, come on now.
And some people's life are chaotic where it's like they can't catch a break. And so every week we're talking about a new thing.
Right.
And so it's one of those things, again, don't compare yourself. Like your story, your timeline, it's your journey. And regardless, like, we will sit with you through it as long as it takes.
I love that. That's a great one.
Thanks.
I think I want to ask, like, where can we find you? Because I'm going to come tomorrow.
Sweet. Sign up. Yeah. So I would say most people go to our website and they kind of look up like the services that we can do. There's a contact form on that page that people can fill out if they don't feel comfortable necessarily calling right away.
Right.
You can call, and right now we're accepting clients, so people can call and just get an appointment scheduled. Some people want to work with me, so I've kind of transitioned the last couple of years to do I haven't loved it, but I don't love the word coaching, so I coined my own term of Thera-Healer.
Thera-Healer, I like that.
So I've based more services in regards to like coaching work, breath work sessions, one-on-ones. I should mention, like, people don't realize too, therapy is it's structured. Okay. And coaching, healing, right? There's so much more, and so coaches are also very different than therapists, so I'm not speaking on just behalf of them, but there's so much we can do in that coaching realm that we really can't ethically do in therapy. And so I've branched off kind of the last few years of course, still doing therapy, but wanting to integrate more of just the holistic practices that, from insurance-based, I can't justify a science-based intervention to bill. And so people don't realize, like, they get upset where it's like, yes, you can come and do Reiki with me, or you can come and do a breath work, but it's out of pocket and I can't bill your insurance. And the reason being is because they don't consider breath work that hard science, clinically based intervention.
Makes sense.
So, yeah, I think it just depends on that. Like, the website's a great way. People can email us or people can call and get more information. Probably are the easiest.
What's your, I want to get all this information.
Yeah.
So let's start off with website. What's your website?
So our website's healingfeatherstherapy.com, and feathers is plural.
Okay.
And then we're also on Facebook and Instagram. It's Healing Feathers Utah, for both of them. So they can look us up there. I've been better. Thank you, Jason Woodland.
Shout out Jason.
Yeah, freaking Jason. He's been posting, or he's been advocating for me to post more social media. So we have a ton more posts, more information. It's mostly me right now as far as posting, but I have an incredible team of therapists, and we see ages from as little as 5. I have a therapist that'll see little kids, and then obviously into adulthood. So there is a team of us. We're taking on clients, and it's kind of cool because depending on what you're wanting, what specialty you have, we have probably a therapist that's going to be a good fit for you.
It makes sense. Wow. So you guys literally cover all ages.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a therapist who, she's amazing. She's a rock star, but she has a playroom. And so she has the funnest office. Like little kids come in and they get to play games and do therapy. Right. So the rest of us, sorry, you just get a couch to sit on and get to talk and hang out with us. But I have a really incredible team. I have a team who has just as much fire under them to help people and see people. And so, I mean, again, obviously I'm biased, but it is very different. Like, you don't get that passion. You don't get that same equivalency passion in other offices. So I am very lucky. I love my team to death. And I just, I tell anyone who comes on board, I'm like, you signed a life sentence. You know that, right? But awesome. I have an eclectic team who's just really awesome at what they do.
That's awesome. Rhonda, is there anything you want to promote out there? Any events you got coming up? Any merch you want to promote?
Yeah.
Where can we get some of your brand? Where can we get it? Where can we get access?
Yeah, I would say probably the website, easiest place. Okay. So we're always I do a monthly grief circle. That's the thing that I know I do consistently. We do different groups throughout the year. That kind of just changes depending on the season and the needs. So there's always groups that's happening. We, retreats when they're happening. We try to post online, so Facebook, Instagram, or the website. We don't really have swag yet, but that's soon to be, hopefully. Okay. But I would say, just website, follow us on social, send me a message if there's specific questions. The other thing is I listen, right? So if there's people out there that want specific groups and they can't find it, or they just haven't found a resource, we put together groups. So we've had people before that are saying, will you do like a survival of sexual trauma group? We had a religious trauma group. So if it's not on the website, shoot me an email, because we may have a wait list already for that group. Right. So we're always doing something.
That's genius. What's your email?
The best email is going to be rdavis. So rdavis Ronda. Sorry, I confused people there.
Scratch that.
Scratch that. Don't listen.
All right. This is the email address now.
Yeah. The correct email is rdavis@healingfeatherstherapy.com.
Okay.
So
rdavis@healingfeathers, plural.
Yep.
.com.
Therapy.com.
Therapy.com.
Yep. So rdavis@healingfeatherstherapy.com.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. And if anyone wants to Google me, I mean, obviously you can type in Healing Feathers, but if somebody tries to contact me directly, it is Ronda without an H. So a lot of people put that in and they find there is actually a Ronda psychiatrist in Utah with an H with the same name, but yeah, Ronda without an H.
She different.
Yeah. But honestly, cool. Just Google Healing Feathers. You'll find us. Julie has the magazines everywhere. We have brochures usually at doctor's offices or things like that. So also, if anyone's listening and you want flyers, you want business cards, shoot me a text, send me a message, and I would love to drop by some so we can, because I also collaborate with other offices in the area.
Okay. What area is that?
Really all over. We have people. I have doctors, I have a crew of doctors in Park City. I have people out in Tooele. So honestly, I will collaborate with you wherever and share referrals. And just, again, it's all about building that community and being able to give those resources to clients.
I love that. So we got the entire Utah front Wasatch and the back Wasatch. Yep. For those who grew up in Utah, that's how y'all talk,
Yeah.
Front of the mountain and the back of the mountain.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
But so really statewide, if anybody really wants it, I will deliver flyers, mail flyers, and I don't mind having people's business cards. I send referrals. A lot of our clients trust us that they want direct referrals, and so we
Yes.
do have a wall of business cards that I have a personal relationship with that doctor, with those people, so that it's not just Joe Schmo I think can do doctor stuff, call him. Like, it's no, call Dr. Smith at this office and see him for this.
That's awesome.
So it's just building that relationship and that community so clients really can, again, have the resources and the support they need to heal.
Mm-hmm. I could tell you got a lot of passion for what you do.
Yeah, I do.
Rhonda, I appreciate you sharing everything and your expertise here on today's show in front of the live audience.
Yeah.
Much love. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And hopefully there was a lot of listeners that gained something from today. So I'm just excited to be here.
Think about what, 100 million?
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go on tour with that.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Well, Rhonda, thank you again.
Yeah.
I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week. For those listening on UtahMusicRadio.com, we appreciate you guys. And thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Smoove Conversations.
Yes.
We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.
Much love. Peace.
Bye.